Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes' Illuminati, the man who rules the world, takes on the head of the global elite in this all-new action-packed John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes' Illuminati in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Earlier this week, federal agents from the Department of Homeland Security raided the homes of Sean P. Diddy Combs in Los Angeles and Miami. Now, the Department of Homeland Security raided these homes of Sean P. Diddy Combs in Los Angeles and Miami in connection with their investigation for alleged sex trafficking. However, the timing of these raids seemed to be quite questionable because these raids seem to come at the exact same time that the Max streaming service is releasing a season of documentaries called Quiet on Set, The Dark Side of Kids TV, that talks about all of the alleged inappropriate behavior that took place on the set of Nickelodeon television shows like The Amanda Show, Drake and Josh, All That, and many of the other Nickelodeon shows like Victorious. Now, these shows were very popular in the 1990s and the early 2000s and were major staples of TV watching for many late Gen Xers and millennials. And many people watched these shows thinking that these kids were sweet and innocent. However, the documentary Quiet on Set talks about how these kids were basically exploited by the show's showrunner, Dan Schneider. Now, Dan Schneider was known from my generation as being the fat guy on Head of the Class. However, he and Brian Robbins from Head of the Class went on to become head producers over at Nickelodeon, and they created many of these legendary and iconic Nickelodeon shows. However, behind the scenes, many of the child performers talk about all sorts of inappropriate behavior that went on behind the scenes of these Dan Schneider shows. And they talk about how Dan Schneider oftentimes participated in trying to sneak all sorts of sexualized content inside of these seemingly innocuous Nickelodeon shows, and how he put sexual predators in the place at working on his shows. And it talked about in the documentary how two pedophiles were on working on these shows, and it's just disturbing to hear about it. However, I have to wonder, is the raid on P. Diddy Combs being done as a distraction to take our eyes off of all of the allegations as related to all of the horrific things that took place on the set of these Dan Schneider shows on Nickelodeon? Because oftentimes when it comes to those who control the media, whenever there's something that is bad to be revealed about a white person, what they do to divert your attention and deflect from us seeing how reprehensible this white person is what they do is go find a black person and make that person out to be the bad guy of the story. And that could be the possible case here with this raid on Sean P. Diddy Combs' home. What they couldn't possibly be doing is looking to try to keep attention away from Dan Schneider and all of the alleged acts of sexual deviancy that took place on the sets of Nickelodeon, and the inappropriate comedy that was presented in many of these Nickelodeon shows under people's noses, and also the fact that Dan Schneider actively went out here and possibly hired pedophiles to work for him. These actions are extremely heinous, and what they want to do to keep you from looking at Dan Schneider with a more harsh and critical eye as related to the way he allegedly exploited children on the set of these Nickelodeon shows is deflect your attention and distract you by having you look at P. Diddy Combs and make him into the face of sexual predation. That could be the case that's happening here as related to this raid on Sean P. Diddy Combs' home, because I find the timing to be quite suspect. that Max releases this documentary, and I watched all 4 episodes. And look, I find it interesting that in the same week that this documentary is being released, all of a sudden we've got all of these raids on P. Diddy Combs' home, and P. Diddy, his face is back in the news as an alleged sexual predator on the level of Jeffrey Epstein. I find it interesting how the media wants to demonize Sean P. Diddy Combs as the face of sexual predation, making the black man look like the ultimate monster. But this is par for the course for the mainstream media ever since the days of Bill Cosby and the allegations against him. The entire allegations against Bill Cosby were oftentimes used by the mainstream media as a smokescreen to go out here and give cover to people who were white, who participated in far more heinous crimes. Because oftentimes with the entire Me Too era, we had a lot of people making allegations against Bill Cosby, making him look like the ultimate face of sexual predation. However, there were many white guys who were the actual face of sexual predation, and the mainstream media wanted to give them cover after Roger Ailes went out here and gave that $20 million to Gretchen Carlson. However, the hypergamy of women basically made it where they got triggered and wanted to get a better deal for themselves, and that's why we saw so many white guys going out here and having allegations made against them, and many of them winding up taking perp walks as related to their alleged criminal behavior. And right now, it's looking to me like what they're trying to do is give cover to Dan Schneider as related to all of the alleged inappropriate behavior that took place on the set of many of these Nickelodeon shows, and give him cover for, as the documentary says, hiring sexual predators to work on the set of these shows and abuse these children and expose these children to inappropriate material. Again, all of this done on TV shows that kids watched for years and enjoyed, and thought that these shows were innocent and innocuous. However, Dan Schneider was exposing these children to all sorts of inappropriate sexual content and having them perform in inappropriate sexual ways right under their noses, getting a laugh at them as he humiliated them. That's what this documentary alleges, and it's one of the reasons why Dan Schneider is currently not at Nickelodeon, because all of the heat came on him as a result of the Me Too movement, and many people taking a critical look at his inappropriate behavior and the way he basically mistreated a lot of women who worked on these shows. He basically exploited a lot of people, but many people don't want people talking about Dan Schneider, so what they do is find a black proxy and use that black proxy to distract their attention from the person who's a part of the institution of the entertainment industry. That's what it's looking like to me. Now, I don't know who Sean P. Diddy Combs pissed off, but it seems like they want to make him into the next brute of the month. Now, I don't know of what's going on with Sean P. Diddy Combs' case because he's innocent until proven guilty. And as related to things, it's looking quite suspect because Diddy possibly has a lot of witnesses who can attest to many of the things that he's done. But when I look at the way these cases are presented and the timing of them, it's showing me how the media arm of white supremacy wants to go and put the black guy up front as the face of sexual predation, make him the bad guy, and give cover to a white guy, give that white guy some cover to escape from as related to being called out for the alleged abuse he participated in on the set. And that's reinforced by the conviction of 2 individuals. As related to the documentary, it said that 2 of these individuals that he hired were basically convicted of these crimes. So nobody wants people talking about what went on at Nickelodeon, so they go out here and find another 90s black icon to distract your attention from his behavior. So I look at this whole case and I'm looking at it with a side eye because it's looking quite suspect. And it's looking quite suspect because just as this documentary is released, all of a sudden we get a raid on P. Diddy Combs' home, and I have to wonder if that raid was done to distract us, and if it was done to distract us from seeing how dark the entertainment industry is, because when it comes to the whole entertainment industry, it is filled with a lot of perverts and sexual deviants, and P. Diddy is just the tip of the iceberg, which is on that tip has Jeffrey Epstein and Harvey Weinstein. When it comes to the entertainment industry, it's filled with a lot of sick and depraved individuals, and these sick and depraved individuals are looking for some way to get cover because they don't want the cover blown off the entertainment industry, and they don't want people to see the entire dark side of Hollywood and how Hollywood has been exploiting people for decades as related to the way they basically abuse and exploit people, especially children, because these people have a major issue as related to power, and because they have a major issue as related to power, what these people do is look to hurt the weakest of us who cannot fight back. And this is why we have to take a stand against this entertainment industry and the predators that are a part of it, because these people, while they go out here and make millions of dollars off the pain of others, they never think that they can face justice, and it's just time for them all to know that they can be held accountable, and they won't divide and conquer people by having us distracted by things like race, because what they're trying to do with Diddy is make the black man the bad guy to keep us from seeing the foundations of those in the entertainment industry who have the executive power and use that power to abuse people who cannot stand against them. Now, if you want to pick up my books on the SJS Direct imprint, like All About Maryland, where I talk all about the entertainment industry and all about what the whole way the entertainment industry exploits people, you can pick up that screenplay book on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find that many of the SJS Direct books on other online booksellers like Google Play, Barnes & Noble, Walmart, and Target. And if you want to see me make more videos about the entertainment industry, you can send a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Coming to paperback and e-readers, Isis Dark Incubus. The goddess next door gets enthralled in a romantic entanglement with an evil incubus in this all-new Isis series adventure. Pre-order your copy of Isis Dark Incubus at Amazon.com and other online booksellers everywhere. Coming to paperback and e-readers, Esteem Horror in the Hamptons. The aspiring angel tries to escape a house of horrors in this all-new Esteem series adventure. Pre-order your copy of Esteem Horror in the Hamptons in digital format at Amazon.com, Google Play, Draft to Digital, and other digital booksellers, or pick up your paperback copy on May 24th. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.